Hello and welcome everybody to the Uncensored Anime Podcast, episode 16. We're your boys, David, Kenny, and Jerry, and today we're going back to the basics. The past few episodes have been really awesome. We've had cool guests come on and talk about, the topics related to those guests. But today we're going back to the basics. We're going to be bringing you a classic episode where we are going to be reviewing My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, the movie.
Oh, is it two heroes or is it heroes? Which one is it, David? No, I'm just
Is it Heroes Rising? Okay, I watched both movies because they both have heroes after the colon. How was I supposed to know?
It's Heroes Rising.
It's Heroes Rising. Thank you, Kenny.
The new movie, Heroes Rising.
I can trust Kenny.
Yes.
I can trust Kenny.
Yeah,
but we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, and The Great Pretender, which we have been talking about reviewing for a while now. So we hope you're all excited.
When did
Jerry,
we first bring that up, David? I'm trying to remember. It must have been like 5 or 6 episodes ago, and we were like, "Oh, let's watch that."
It's been
only
a while.
case 1 and 2 were out then, so
Yeah. The last case came out like last week, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't. It says season 2, but that's definitely not season 2. Let's be like that was just all.
It's just like another arc, basically.
Yeah.
Like a mini arc.
We'll talk more about it, but okay.
We'll
So let's that's great stuff.
Got any news, Jerry?
We're back to the basics today, doing a little reviewing,
back to the basics.
Doing a little bit of fun. The first thing that Kenny sent a text about earlier is this very interesting, and I'm sure those of you listening probably saw it since it already has 1 million views in less than a day. But it's this very interesting announcement of Universal Japan's Mario-themed theme park. And again, this isn't on the topic of anime. We talk about games a little bit here on the podcast too. So we thought it would be interesting to take a little look and see what is going on with that. What do you guys think so far? Where are your heads at on this theme park? I'm sure, Kenny.
I've been to Universal Studios Harry Potter World, right? And that's pretty wild. Like I remember going to that park, and there are other portions of Universal Studios, and I think we spent the majority of that day in just Harry Potter World. It could have been its own theme park. Like that was how, planned out all the different stores, all the different rides. I think it only had like 3 rides, but each of them were so cool and so fun that it was like. And so if Mario World is anything like that one, it's going to be awesome. Like, I know that there are like some AR things that you can do. You have these like little wristwatches, and there's an app that you can like play on. And I don't know. I just, we're in the USA and we're not allowed to go anywhere. I haven't been out of the house in any significant way since March. And this looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like super awesome.
Yeah. It looks really cool. I'm so excited. I mean, it comes out in February. So maybe, I doubt the state of the nation will be that much better in just 2 months. Hopefully it is. But whenever we are at a state where we can freely, travel wherever and there's not issues about having to quarantine for 2 weeks before doing anything, the first thing I'm doing is going to Super Mario World because it's a dream come true. Like Kenny, I've also been to the Harry Potter World in Florida, and it's just like I remember just thinking like, oh, it's like I'm on the actual set of Harry Potter. Like this all looks so real. Like it's such a you just feel like you're actually like in the movie. So I'm really excited to have that kind of same experience with Mario, especially since I've been a Mario weeb since I was 2, literally. So I'm very excited.
This man is Super Mario out.
Next summer, the Olympics are going to be in Japan.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
They did get. Yeah, they got pushed back.
They got moved. Yeah, so that means it should be open and in full swing by the time that the Olympics happen. That's honestly kind of wild to think about. I wonder if he'll do.
Crazy.
I think curious. Mario is I think he's a Olympic ambassador.
He is with like Goku and stuff, right?
Goku, Doraemon,
Sonic,
Pikachu.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. They've been at the Olympics for the past what?
They've been Olympic ambassadors for years.
That's true.
But well, I'm excited. It sounds like a really great experience. I feel like it's definitely going to be one of those like major tourist attractions when you hit Japan. Like if you ever have that opportunity. I've never been to Japan. I'd love to go. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something that's exciting for those of you probably listening as well. Maybe you'll all get to go out there and hit Japan one day. I'm not sure, but hopefully we all get to go at some point. Kenny, we have to plan a trip, man. We'll have to plan the brothers trip to Super Mario World, Universal or whatever. All right, well that's sweet. It was a really cool announcement to see. I mean, you said in that earlier, Kenny. I was like, that's really cool. I had no idea this was. I'm sure people knew this was in development, right? Like this was not like they didn't like Ghost announce this, right? Like this wasn't like some.
No, this has been like in the works for years at this point. I'm going to say so. It's definitely not a surprise.
Wow, this is an early drop for Mr. Kinney. But yeah, that makes sense though that there would be a that this wouldn't be a surprise. Early one today. Yeah, I didn't think this was like a Ghost drop, but it would have been crazy if this was like somehow they had like been building this whole time and like no one knew. Right. And today it was just like it hit the internet and they were like, surprise, we've got Mario, guys. That would be pretty wild. But
no, yeah, I think it was already supposed to be open, but because of Corona, everything got pushed back. So.
Oh dang. Okay, yeah, I had no idea. That makes sense. So, well, shoot. Okay, so other than that, a little bit of anime news. Obviously, this week, Attack on Titan it's debuting this week. I believe the new season is airing as of the week of this recording. I'm pretty sure. So we are finally at the moment of salvation. We'll see where this season goes. Those of you who are manga readers may have a little bit of a jump on what we're expecting this season, but I'm excited. I don't know what to expect, so I'm stoked. And David, I'm sure you're still on episode. Season 2, episode 6. No, I don't know. So David will catch up soon.
The binge will start soon.
Gotta binge it soon because it's time, my man. It is time, and I want you to watch this shit live with me. That would be sick, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
No, the new season's going to be really hardcore, so I'm still excited. It doesn't seem like there's been much info. I mean, obviously, if you read the manga, you kind of know where we're headed, but the ending, as far as I understand it, is going to happen sort of simultaneously. Do you guys know about this?
Yeah.
So
the manga's just about over.
Yeah.
And so I believe this is the last anime season, and the manga is going to end at the same time. So
yeah, there's only a few shows that I can think of off the top of my head that really fit that same mold. One is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood that did sort of this culminating finale where the anime and the manga came together sort of last minute and collided at the end where they had the same ending, but the manga just came out maybe like a week or two, a little bit before the anime, but they had the notes knowing where they were going. Yu Yu Hakusho also had a similar ending where the anime just barely ended after the manga did, so they somehow kind of came together. I'm sure there are other examples. Maybe Bakuman had a similar situation happen. Kuroko's might have been really close too, right, Kenny? I think where the anime and the manga.
No, Kuroko's. Kuroko's was weird.
Yeah,
because they had the epilogue manga as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, but yeah. So there's been some more examples of this, but it'll be interesting because it means essentially the manga and anime community will unite for a little bit as we reach the conclusion of Attack on Titan, essentially together, which to me. Sounds great, because I don't want. It makes it easier for us to avoid spoilers a little bit, us anime only people, because essentially the manga people won't know exactly. I mean, they'll probably know a couple weeks, maybe a month ahead, but at least for the most part, the story will stay probably kind of under wraps until the very end, which will be awesome, at least in my mind. So be excited for that, and I'm sure we'll have some time to talk about this season as it starts getting the ball rolling, and maybe we'll do a big Attack on Titan episode sometime soon because that show deserves a lot of talking points because it's wild. Just the whole anime is, it's got a great stuff about it. Maybe we'll pull a JoJo's and do like I'll give like a history, a recap, all that good jazz, and then we'll do like a full review of Attack on Titan or something.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that'd be great. Ken, you also told me about a manga that just came out. I don't keep up with manga as much, but I haven't got to read it.
So Shonen Jump has been airing some new mangas. One is pretty good. It's only got 2 chapters out. One is not very good at all, and
they both only have 2 chapters, right?
Yeah, I think Build King has 3. Sakamoto Days has 2.
Okay,
I think
they debuted just a week apart, but that puts as of right now that maxes out the magazine. There's not going to be another new. For now, they're in Max, I think. Yeah, I think so, too. I think this is probably there, because those 2 probably jumped in to replace, what What would they have just replaced? Ken, do you remember?
Well, a handful of different mangas have started, semi-recently. There's a couple that are like demon slaying type, Jujutsu Kaisen style.
Yeah, Phantom Seer also started pretty recently, right?
Yeah, I think Phantom Seer. And then there's another one that also just started. I don't know what it's called. But not like just started. It's like 20 or 30 chapters long.
Right, but what do you think about... So what do you think... What are these two brand new ones, my man? What are those?
Okay, so... Which do you want? Okay, do you want the good news?
Start with the bad, then we'll talk about the good, because I think that's a good way to go with this.
So, Build King, by the same author who brought you Toriko, is just like, I would say, totally. The shonen genre has grown in between whenever Toriko ended and now, and this is just like so bad. Like, it's tropey. It doesn't have terribly interesting drawn characters, and it just is like, it makes no sense. Like, I guess the world is the world is cool. I like, in the beginning, it does this little like in general, manga start with big exposition dumps. Right. And a lot of the whole point of the thing is that they're build kings, which are structures that are undestroyable. And our two main characters are two builders who are trying to build kings, right? And one is the younger brother who's actually good at building structures, and then one's the older brother who is shorter, who is building peace, he says. And by building peace, he's just going to be the strongest person in the world. And it's just
very outdated shonen, kind of not challenging the genre, not doing, especially when we're living in an era where like Demon Slayer just closed. My Hero's still running. Promised Neverland just closed. Now we've got Build King. Mitsutoshi thinks he can just come back. And if anyone is a fan of... I like Toriko a lot. If you've ever read Toriko, I actually think it's a great manga. I don't know if the anime was a great adaptation. And Mitsutoshi, he was in prison for a long time after his first manga. He had his first manga, then he went to prison, then he got out of prison, then he did Toriko. So, maybe not the most, like, quality human being also. But I think Toriko's a really cool story. The thing about Toriko, though, is that it never was made to elevate the genre. And based off what Kenny's saying about Build King, seems like he's just kind of trying to do a rerun. He's trying to use what he knows and do it again. And maybe that is what he's going for. But I guess we'll have to see as this manga kind of develops. Or if it gets canceled. I mean, it can get canceled really fast.
It leans into like dumb comedy, like I would say like Dragon Ball style comedy. Yeah. And I think that the shonen genre also has grown past the point where like you can't just like, he just would like make poop jokes or people would lose their pants and like, and you're like this isn't funny. It's funny whenever the girl in Jujutsu Kaisen says, "Are we playing Smash Brothers at this party? Because I'll beat the shit out of you." That's funny to me. Yeah. But like if you're just like walking around and people are just like pooping on things and like losing their pants and you're like that's not funny.
Yeah,
like,
you also have to remember Shimabakuro's like almost in his 50s. He's 45 according to his wiki.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he's a little outdated with his humor is the word I would use. Maybe he's doesn't know how to appeal to 18-year-old boys anymore. Or maybe he's kind of missed the mark there.
Maybe so. I don't know. It's just like, one, the character designs are not very cool. At least in Toriko. Toriko is a cool character design.
Toriko. Yeah. I immediately noticed that with Build King. Is that like, has he gotten worse? Like, is he a worse artist? Like, that was my immediate response when I opened them. I was like, I think he's gotten worse.
Not necessarily, because like I said, whenever they do the exposition dump, there's this 2-page spread of all these Build Kings, and all the structures look really cool. I do think that like that part looks cool, but then like he just has
these characters are dog.
Yeah, Build King. Yeah. Okay, but Kenny, do you think Shimabakuro drew the backgrounds? If I don't know. For anyone who has a bit of knowledge about mangaka, generally, especially when they're an established one like Shimabakuro, most likely he has a team of like 3 to 5 very young assistants that are doing all of the background art. Generally, what happens in these manga is like. the main artist, like Shimabukuro, might do a quick sketch, but most of the detailing and the effective work is done by assistants that are working on it. And generally, what Shimabukuro is drawing is the foreground characters, right? He's drawing everything in the foreground. So if the foreground characters look like ass, but the backgrounds look great, that means he's got a great team of assistants, but it means that he's not really putting up his best work is probably what's happening.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Let's
give it a couple more chapters.
Yeah, whenever you read the first couple chapters of a shonen, the most important thing, I think, is that you need to make your characters really visually distinct and exciting to look at.
Yeah.
I think that Jujutsu Kaisen did that really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Haikyuu did that really well with Kageyama and Hinata. I think that, I don't know. There's a lot of One Punch Man. Yusuke Murata's One Punch Man is great because Saitama is so visually distinct that it makes that exciting. And then obviously, it's hilarious. But yeah, it's like they just seem like bad knockoffs.
Yeah.
Toriko is visually distinct, right? Coco and Sunny are visually distinct and cool characters.
Yeah.
And these two guys, I don't even know their names.
We got to give it, again, I think we got to give it a couple more chapters. He's obviously a really established author, but you also have to remember that other than Toriko, most of his other shit has been not exactly failures, but not great, is the best way to put it. So, maybe Toriko is just a luck of the draw kind of thing, and we're seeing the real Shimabukuro come back around for this. So we'll have to see. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably read the first couple of chapters after a couple of chapters are out and see what I think about it. But, David, you plan to read it?
How many are out right now?
Just 3, I think.
How many chapters are out?
Three, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it gets better. That's still pretty early to tell. I'm definitely going to read them. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'll check them out. And they're all distributed through Viz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every weekly Shonen Jump manga that runs in Japan right now, Viz has a contract with, I believe, right, Ken? I'm pretty sure they're all
they run Shonen Jump.
Yeah, we essentially get the entire Japanese weekly Shonen Jump released legally online.
You can't get it illegally anymore. They've done takedowns on every.
They have done a very good job of taking everyone down. So,
and it pisses me off because everybody is posting these threads on Thursday night about the new One Piece chapter, the new My Hero chapter, and I'm like, fuck.
Yes.
I cannot get them.
Okay, so Shimabukuro, great. He's got a shitty new manga out. Don't watch it or don't read it, people, if that's not what we're thinking. But now this other
in 3
one,
or 4 weeks, if it gets better, I'll tell you.
Right. Now, we'll catch back up and see where we're at. Now this other one seems to everyone who's read it so far is giving it a positive review, and I can't find a damn thing about the author of this other manga. So this other manga is called Sakamoto Days. It's a comedy.
It's a
action comedy.
It's an action comedy.
Yeah. Okay. Brief synopsis, Kenny, without spoiling too much.
The main character is a retired hitman, and he brings in a new, a young hitman is sent to kill him, and instead of killing him, he joins up with him and starts studying under this old retired. He's supposed to be the best hitman ever to live.
Right. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, this is a totally new author. No matter how much I've searched his name, I can't find any information about, like, did he work as he most likely, assistant. Generally, when you see a new author in Shonen Jump, that person probably was an assistant for some other Shonen Jump author. There's not always, but that's a pretty standard practice, is that they worked as an assistant for a couple of years. A great example is that Ichiro Oda and Hiroyuki Takai were both assistants on Rurouni Kenshin. So before writing One Piece and Shaman King, they both worked under Nobuhiro Watsuki and did Rurouni Kenshin. I just saw another interesting example that the guy that wrote Beelzebub, if you guys have ever heard of Beelzebub, we're going to actually talk about him in a minute because he has a new manga also in Shonen Jump. The guy who wrote Beelzebub, he was an assistant for the author who wrote Siren when he was doing his run of Siren, which we talked about briefly on the podcast. But essentially, it's just a pretty common practice. But I can't find anything about the guy who wrote Sakamoto Days. So this guy is seemingly just a totally new author on the scene.
The eyes kind of look like...
Yuto Suzuki, David, yes.
The eyes kind of look like Fairy Tail, if that makes sense.
Maybe. Okay.
Like the way he draw. But I mean, people draw inspiration from everywhere. So, for all I know, he could be a fairy tale fan. And,
yes.
But
and so here's another interesting. So the guy who wrote. Okay, so great Sakamoto Days. Check it out if you want. We don't really have much else to say about it other than it's funny.
2 chapters out.
It's fun. 2 chapters out. Give it a shot. It's a new author putting a new work out there. Definitely give it a shot. As well
Better
as
than Build King.
The other 2 things I want to briefly talk about are there are 2 other manga currently running that started this year. And there's a bunch of other new manga on Weekly Shonen Jump. Go check out all of them. A bunch of them are by new authors, to my understanding. They're authors who this is their first series. So there's a ton of great shonen. Kenny, correct me. I'm going to name a couple things like Undead Unluck, Phantom Seer, Our Blood Oath, Mori King, Me and Roboco, Magu-chan, God of Destruction, Mashal, Magic and Muscles.
A lot of gags. These are a lot of gag manga.
And then a Gravity Boy. So there's most of the new. These are all new manga by, from what I can tell, new authors. These are new authors to Weekly Shonen Jump, and it is the time now. And we've talked about this before, but the slate is hella clean right now at Weekly Shonen Jump. The slate has been wiped, and Shonen Jump is letting all of these brand new first timers on the scene to publish some manga. So now is the time to jump in and catch up with some of these shows that are just now starting. Because I'll say it right now, a year or 2 from now, we might be talking about how one of those manga I just named is the next big shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy how fast it can happen. But 2 years from now, there might be kids here in America dressing up as characters from Undead Unluck. You know what I mean? That's how fast something can Black Clover, something can Demon Slayer its way up. So go check those out. Great new stuff. But there are 3 manga that are running that are actually authored by old guard, so people who've written manga in the last 10 to 20 years, who are now publishing new series in Shonen Jump. And we talked about one, Build King. There's 2 others. David, I don't know if you maybe have even read these, but Kenny, I'm sure Kenny has. So there are 2.
Triangle.
It might be my list.
There are 2, yes. So first, Kenny, you nailed it. Ayakashi Triangle.
And then Hard Boiled Cop and Dolphin.
Yes. So Ayakashi Triangle, Kenny, I don't know if you know the brief synopsis of this one, because I have not read it yet. So Ayakashi Triangle is one of the manga, and this is being written by an author named Kintaro Yabuki, which I know best from the manga series Black Cat, which ran from 2000 to 2004. It also had a short anime series that ran as well that I know. Watched it when I was young. And he had a follow-up manga that I don't know much about, but a bunch of other weebs do. It's a manga called To Love Ru. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you're a manga fan, you may not have read it, but it's kind of a gag, also boobies type of anime. Totally worth a shot if you're into that sort of stuff. But so Kintaro Yabuki has this manga, Ayakashi Triangle. We're a little out of the loop. David, I assume, is also out of the loop, but seems to be kind of in the same zone as... you know what's kind of popular right now, which Alyssa and I have noted? A lot of shonen series are kind of taking on the whole, not exactly like magic, but like spiritual, right? Demons, monsters, spirits, this kind of thing. So, you've got Demon Slayer, even Promised Neverland to an extent, Black Clover. It's so Ayakashi Triangle, Jujutsu Kaisen. It's all Ayakashi Triangle, sort of in the same realm, fantasy, and it says romantic comedy as well. So
Phantom Seer is like that as well.
Oh, okay, see. Oh, yeah, I knew that. Alyssa told me about Phantom Seer as well. So there's one, Kintaro Yabuki's Ayakashi Triangle. And then this one, which I'm really excited to read eventually. I need to get into
This one's a good one.
It's called Hard Boiled Cop and Dolphin. And this is by Ryuhei Tamura, which earlier I mentioned him, because he is the author of Beelzebub, which is a really, really funny manga and anime that came out, late, 09 or something, 2010, something like that. It was either in the late or early, maybe 2011, 2012, something like that. Really funny series about Satan's son essentially being left on Earth with the rowdiest high schooler, and very funny anime. If you've not had a chance to go check it out, I think the anime did a good job with its adaptation. There is a bit of filler, I believe, and it doesn't have the true ending, but worth a go if you like gag, if you like Gintama, that sort of stuff. Beelzebub is right up your alley. Haven't got to check out Hard Boiled Cop and Dolphin yet, Kenny, but do you know what it's briefly about?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the title. A hard-boiled cop is sent from the city to an ocean town, and his partner is a dolphin. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's it, guys. So Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin, guys.
They deal with both regular crimes and sea crimes. So I don't.
Oh, Jesus Christ! What a wonderful idea. So yeah, there's about 20 chapters out of this series so far. Definitely,
it's really good.
It's probably funny. I could bet with Ryuhei's track record, I bet I bet it'll last a pretty good amount of time. He's a very funny author, and I just based off the other offerings in Jump right now, he's probably going to kind of take the lead, if I had to guess, in the comedy side of the manga. The magazine always has a strong comedy series running, with Kochikame having ending many years back, Gintama also being gone from the manga, those two were definitely like mainstays in the comedy side, and then Psyche K also has ended, which was another pretty prominent comedy series. We've had a couple of others over there, like Sket Dance, that were heavy comedy shows that lasted for a long time. So I expect Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin to probably etch out that area, unless one of those other newbies are able to take some of the ground from him, which might happen, but Ryuhei is just an established author. He has a great style. I don't expect him to, unless he really slips up, I don't think that he is going to really get. He'll probably be in running in Weekly Shonen Jump. My guess is long enough to get an anime. That's what I'm thinking, but we'll have to see where that goes. Great,
it's pretty funny. Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin is pretty funny.
Yeah, and so check that one out as well. And so that is sort of your Weekly Shonen Jump recap as well.
Well,
I mean to. What?
There's one more manga update I want to talk about. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know about
this week. This week in One Punch Man, for the first time, Yusuke Murata drew the #1 hero, Blast, and it was the coolest double-page spread in One Punch Man. First of all,
David, are you caught up on One Punch Man?
Is semi.
I'm not too far behind though.
It comes out semi-irregularly.
I thought you were reading
it might be bi-weekly. I don't know. It's semi-irregular. And so it comes out whenever it comes out, but man, Yusuke Murata 1 is such a talented manga artist. I cannot believe how beautiful some of his pages are. But having Blast finally drawn in the manga and there weren't even words. I didn't even at first know who it was. I was like, who is this guy? And it just says Blast on his belt, and you're like, it was just
I need to catch up.
One of the greatest moments in manga, man.
Looking at one's version of Blast.
Yeah, go ahead and do a side by side real quick.
I just
Blast,
did, yeah.
One Punch Man.
I looked it up myself, but yeah, that's pretty impressive. But I like one's version better than Murata's version.
Oh yeah, you like one's version?
Yeah, dude, it's pretty good. Dude,
oh my god,
dude, one's a
I'll
legend.
hold up from seeing it.
Yeah, David, you're gonna probably.
I'm gonna wait till I catch up. I'll read it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so that's interesting, though, Kenny. That's very interesting. I mean, for a lot of people, I know me included, I was an anime only for One Punch Man, and was really disappointed in the second season and never finished it. So, just gave up after that because the second season just kind of disappointed me so much. So, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate.
Was the animation bad? Because they had a different animation studio.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as the first season. And I think that was a big turnoff for a lot of anime fans.
Yeah.
That's sad. The first season's animation was so good.
That's exactly it.
It's just like Seven Deadly Sins, dude. Like, I've tried to finish this new season of Seven Deadly Sins like 3 times, and it's just like every time we watch an episode, I'm just like this is like this. I'm like, this legitimately feels like a joke. Like, I'm like, why is this happening right now? And I just turn it off.
The first season was just so good, and but let me tell you right now, the One Punch Man manga has not disappointed any week ever whenever it comes out. It is so well drawn. The fight choreography is so cool. You could almost use it like a flip book. Speaking of Chainsaw Man this week, did it have words? Were there even words?
There were. Okay.
Guys, don't spoil that. Don't spoil that shit. Listeners, if you guys read Chainsaw Man, which hopefully you do at this point, we've talked about it so many damn times on this damn podcast. Hopefully you're reading it, but yeah, it's pretty. I am not caught up, so I'm not letting them spoil this for me right now.
It just gets better and better. That's all. That's all I'll say.
Jump Festa this month now.
Don't say you.
Oh yeah, when is it?
this month, I think the 13th or the 19th.
Yes.
I don't know.
So for those of you who are unaware that are listening, there is a festival that happened. Festival. It's not really like a festival. It's like
it's a convention.
Yeah, imagine like Apple does like tech conferences. So like Shonen Jump always does something called Jump Festa. It's sort of here on its wiki. It's defined as an annual party or exposition. That's just all about all the new stuff that Shueisha's bringing out each year. And generally, if you're unaware, they'll bring either like short versions or like OVA pilot versions of some of the new anime that they're planning to, sell off, whatever it might be. So you can actually go all the way back to, I believe it was Jump Festa, maybe in 1999, something like that, or 1998, something like that, where they had created an OVA for One Piece that predates the Toei Animation One Piece, because Production IG made the pre-version, and then the series got purchased up by Toei, and Toei made One Piece. So you'll see this happen. Toriko has a Jump Festa, a variant that was not by Toei, also by a different, I think UFO Table made the Toriko. Did you know this, Kenny? I think the Jump Festa OVA of Toriko was done by UFO Table, which is, it's beautiful. And the Toei version of Toriko, the 100 and something episode anime of Toriko, not good. I mean, it's good, but it's not as good as the Jump Festa version.
It's not UFO Table.
No. Yeah. So every year they kind of do that, and right now last
year they had Jujutsu Kaisen at the show, and people are thinking maybe they're gonna have Chainsaw Man. I'm just
Really? I mean, looking at the lineup in the Weekly Shonen Jump, the only series left with anywhere near as much content enough, the only series that doesn't have an anime already that has anywhere near enough content to make an anime is Chainsaw Man. There's nothing else left. Like, everything else is too new. The under 50 chapters new. So it's like, if it's not Chainsaw Man, then it's just going to be like a who knows what. Maybe they'll show off stuff like, I'm sure they'll probably have like Promised Neverland Season 2 stuff. I'm sure they'll have stuff like Demon Slayer Season 2, My Hero Season 5. I'm sure they'll show off some more of that stuff, because I know that's their big
JoJo's, maybe?
But probably. No, they might save JoJo's for later, but it would be nice to see more.
JoJo's event coming, man.
Yeah, JoJo's.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. JoJo's has its own event.
I think that it's interesting, but I do expect. So that event does happen this year on December 19th and 20th. So in just a couple weeks, and we'll definitely report back. So be on the lookout for our episode that'll probably drop on the 25th of December, because we'll most likely be reviewing what all happened at Jump Festa that weekend. So be on the lookout for that, boys. Listeners, you guys are not all boys, I hope. Okay, but awesome, Kenny. I hope that they do that. So there we go. Let's get moving in another direction. I think that was all the news we have this week, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff, though. Damn. A lot of Shonen Jump talk. Sorry, I know if you're not a Shonen Jump fan, we love to talk about all sorts of anime, and yes, we're all Shonen heads here, so we have to cover our Shonen Jump news, keep you guys up to date on Shonen Jump stuff, and unfortunately, we're about to review a Shonen Jump movie. Kenny, this week prior, all three of us watched the new My Hero Academia film, Heroes Rising. So Kenny, what was My Hero Academia Heroes Rising about, bud?
So first of all, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising came out before Hawks was introduced in the anime, before Endeavor got the injury on his face, and before a very big spoiler that I'm not going to spoil because it's only a couple sentences in the movie occurs. So there are some spoilers in this movie. Not now, obviously. If you're caught up on the anime, and you may not even notice, you'll go back one day and watch this movie again, and you're like, "Wow, they mentioned that here."
Yeah, that was weird. I noticed that. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for our audio listeners, I just did something very bad on screen, so just don't watch that little bit. Jerry was looking away, so he didn't know what I just did. So, Heroes Rising, basically, a really bad hero named Nine breaks out, and all of our Class 1A friends are on this on this semi-rural island to help, where an old hero just retired to help out for their summer vacation. And then these villains come to invade because on the island, one of the kids has a MacGuffin power that makes it so that this big bad villain can use his powers properly. His name's Nine, and he can use 9 powers. He can take them from people. But one of his big bad powers he can't use properly because he needs to heal his cells correctly. And only this little boy on the island has the power to heal cells like he needs. So it's all about big bad battles and getting some fighting going, and that's it. I mean, it's My Hero, man. I don't know what to tell you. It kicks off pretty quickly, I gotta be honest. Like, you get like one little scene with them running around the island having fun, and then the villains are there and they're fighting them. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
It's like 2/3 of the movie is just battle.
Yep.
Battle after battle after battle.
Yep. And this movie is very Bakugo based. It's definitely centered around Bakugo a lot, and I love Bakugo, so it was awesome, super
He's
great.
the most popular character, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I think Midoriya actually wins out in character, but Bakugo's always top 3.
Let's talk about the good things that this movie had to offer, right?
Sure.
I don't know, guys. To me, right, no question about it, the animation was impeccable, right? Like,
oh yeah,
like no question, like
that movie budget.
Yeah, when you have the movie budget, bones goes off, dude. And hate to jump to the end here because we're reviewing now, so spoiler warning.
Yep.
The finale climax fight scene was so absurdly well animated that it was just, I mean, I don't know what else to say, right? Like, it was like put your phone down and look at this, like, because it was just so wild. Like, it was on the same level as if you saw the Dragon Ball Super movie, the dimension-breaking battle between Broly and Gogeta that happened in the Broly movie. That was absurd. It was on that same degree of just like over-the-top action that was like, it was like incalculable, like how they pinpointed the angle and the direction, the things that went on in that scene. Incredible. So animation-wise, you are in for a treat with this film. It was truly a masterclass in action in animation. That's a high. What do you guys think? What were some of the other highlights that like the positives?
Well, I really liked that Class 1A was separated a lot, and they showed off each of them very well. I think that, yes, Bakugo and Midoriya are the main characters of this movie, but each of Class 1A got a very important, very interesting portion of the battle, of both the first battles whenever they lose and the final battle whenever they do win over and conquer these villains. I love that each of them got sort of their own thing to do, their own interesting ways to act. I feel like a lot of them got screen time that they don't usually get, especially people like Shoji. I really like Tsukuyomi, or I like Aoyama a lot, and he got an interesting, and Yaoyorozu. They all got very cool stuff, but yeah, I think Tokoyami, one of my favorite heroes.
My boy Tenya got a really good fight in this movie.
Yeah, Tenya and Todoroki both got a very cool fight.
Yeah.
Ashido, she got a lot of stuff.
I was surprised by Mina and Tokoyami getting like the two of them fighting.
Fight?
Yeah, it was just the two of them alone getting essentially like a portion of the major fight at the end, which I thought was kind of impressive for the two of them, which I guess they're two of the more popular Class 1A characters. So maybe that's where it comes from, and that like obviously the main fight was always going to be like Ochiko, Bakugo, Deku, and then Todoroki and Tenya, because those are like the really popular ones. But they kind of took Tokoyami, and Sero was like way more involved in the final fight than I thought.
Well,
he said,
I think Horikoshi really likes Sero. I think in the manga, in the first volume, Sero was the first character he designed, the first hero power he came up with.
Yeah.
Was a dude that shoot tape out of his arm. But I know that, I don't know, I really like Sero too. I think that he has a really, really cool power that is underutilized somewhat, and I think that I hope that we get a lot more use for him in the future.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it was very cool that he had a lot of stuff to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I like that a lot. I think that it's interesting because I believe now, Kenny, you might know more, but I think Horikoshi was involved at least in a small capacity on this film.
Yeah,
maybe he was also involved in the last one.
I think he's written all of the movies. It says it in the credits. Man.
Wikipedia does not say that he wrote it, but
what do you mean?
He's not credited as a
maybe
writer.
Like original story.
He's not credited as a writer in any capacity on Wikipedia, but that may be an error. They credited it to someone else.
Well, I think that
I thought the last movie he wrote, but not. I didn't think he wrote this one. But maybe a viewer can even correct us. I'm under the impression that he was not credited as a writer for this film. Actually, based off a brief, according to Wikipedia, the same guy actually wrote this movie and the last movie as the lead writer. Yosuke Kuroda, yeah. Pretty established anime author. He's written screenplays for a lot of anime, is what I was going to get at. But it does say that Kohei was a chief supervisor / supervisory role over both films. So I wonder if it's more of like Kuroda wrote the script, but Kohei provided input, said yes, no, things like that. Probably similar in some capacity to the way that Oda interacted with some of the later films in One Piece. Stampede and that stuff. Oda was involved in the process of that, even though they're written by someone else, not Oda technically. I do think that Kohei was probably involved in the overall development of these films in a way that makes them feel a little more natural. Not completely. I think Two Heroes fits a little more comfortably into the timeline. This one, I think Heroes Rising didn't really, the timeline doesn't really work out perfectly for this film. They kind of do some things that are like Kenny said. I mean, there's some spoilers, and maybe it doesn't really fit perfectly exactly where it should, which is kind of between season 4 and season 5 in some ways. Yeah. But I don't know if it really fits perfectly there. But it does its best.
They're supposed to say, I think in the movie they say that it's their summer assignment.
Yeah.
Is that they're on this island.
Same thing. I mean, I think that's the same thing they did with the first movie, right? It was sort of their in between season 2 and 3 or something. Sort of their summer fun.
Which makes me nervous about this next one.
Yeah.
This next movie, because there could be some intense spoilers if they're going to go by the same
summer idea.
Yeah, because there's a lot. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
I don't know. We have to see it. I mean,
I personally prefer. I don't know did you guys see One Piece Stampede?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, shit. Well, viewers at home, maybe you guys saw it. To me, I like it when anime movies don't fit in the storyline. I would rather it just be its own thing. I don't really like that they're trying to sort of canonize the two films that have come out, or at least try to make them fit somewhere. One of the best parts about something like Stampede is that it was totally, it was Buggy, Law, Boa, Luffy, Marco, they all teamed up to fight the bad guy at the end of Stampede. It's all these people are not here right now. You know what I mean? And that was that's the fun of that, right? It's here's some fun stuff that is in the One Piece universe. I think that the My Hero movies need to embrace that a little bit more. Another great example of that is the One Piece movie 6, Baron Omatsuri. That movie is not, it almost doesn't even feel like it's in the One Piece world, but it's One Piece characters. And it's what makes
One Piece movie there is.
It's a wonderful movie because of the fact that it takes the idea, the concepts behind One Piece, places them in their own new world and environment, essentially, and lets those characters have interaction. I think My Hero needs to embrace that a little bit more. And if they're going to do this next movie, hopefully it does that. Hopefully it's not trapped within the confines of the main storyline. I want them to just play a little bit more, because this one felt a little trapped. It felt a little confused. It's restricting. Yeah, it felt so. Getting into the bad a little bit about this movie, I described this film as a really bad Bakugo fans fan fiction film, because that is what to me this felt like, because it just kept sucking Bakugo's dick the whole movie. So if you're a Bakugo fan, this was probably the biggest fan service you've ever gotten, because honestly Horikoshi, other than, at least if you're an anime only, like your main like Bakugo thing is like when he got kidnapped. So like,
Bakugo, the sports festival.
huh?
He was the #1 rated freshman.
But what fight was more important during that arc, Kenny?
Bakugo Todoroki was a cool fight.
They barely. It was like what, 5 minutes or something?
Yeah,
the main.
ass.
Where was the climax, Kenny? Where was the climax in that arc? Todoroki versus Deku. Horikoshi has done a great job of letting Bakugo appeal as the antithesis of Deku, and part of him getting kidnapped during that arc was to like further develop Bakugo. But aside from that, Horikoshi has kind of been a little, at least in the latest season especially, he's kind of pulling what I would call like pulling a Bleach, where like he kind of lets his side characters not develop very much. For some reason, Kirishima had a really big arc in the newest season, and to me it's like, okay, yeah, but Bakugo fans are probably like, where's Bakugo? And this feels like that upset Bakugo fans like fan fiction film. They were like, they're all gonna get trapped on the island, and Bakugo's gonna be the strongest guy there, not anyone else. He's the strongest guy there, and Bakugo's
where's the anime at right now?
He's the strongest one.
It's right after. It's right after.
Is it that gentleman hero?
Yeah,
No,
General
they
Criminal's
already
gone.
did
Yeah. It's just past
Okay.
General Criminal. Yeah.
We're just about to get into the final tests and
Yeah. So there's a lot of character progression to come without saying specifically who has character progression, but not the main characters. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that Horikoshi does a great job. One thing that I have to give him credit for is like he makes you care. Okay, the newest season, Lemillion, Night Eye, Eri, Overhaul. He did a good job giving us those new characters, developing those characters in the world, and making us care about them. And then in the process, he gave us Fat Gum and Kirishima's relationship, which was an interesting development, right? We already got Tenya's big moment with Stain. We already got Todoroki's big moments in the sports festival. We've got, he's played with his characters, but it's sort of like one of those things where it's like, now Tenya, Todoroki, Bakugo, they're there, but they're just sort of sidelined as we learn about the new characters. And that I don't think that that's a uniquely Horikoshi like thing. I think that's a shonen manga thing. Like they, as the show, look at a character like Trafalgar Law in One Piece, right? Like someone who was generally disposed of, but then was so well loved that Oda kind of reworked him back in the story. Or just look through Naruto. What about a character like Neji Hyuga, right? A character that essentially...
You can even look back at One Piece and what he's done with Robin, man.
Yeah, Bleach.
We haven't heard from Robin in 250 chapters.
I mean, any long-running shonen sort of runs into this issue where they develop characters, they want you to really care about characters, and then as they try to give you a new set of characters or a new setting, you kind of get trapped. I think that's why, to me, and I don't like Bakugo. I don't like him as a character. So when I was watching Heroes Rising, I was like, this just feels like a silly Bakugo sub-story, like a subplot just for Bakugo fans. And it just felt goofy, and to be honest, I think the climax was like borderline offensive to like Horikoshi. If Horikoshi gave the thumbs up on it, fine. But in what universe was Horikoshi ever like? And if this was Horikoshi's idea, then F on me. But I don't think anything in the manga would lead me to believe that Deku would be like, I'm gonna share All Might's All Might's power with Bakugo, and Bakugo's gonna use All for One. You know what I mean? Like, or One for All.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck? I got it mixed up. One for All.
One for All.
That like took me way out of it, because it's like, yes, the fight scene was crazy. Yes, this idea of the two of them clasping in power, and Deku elevates Bakugo to this like incredible level because of that. Bakugo's the more trained, he's the more powerful, he can control the power better. Whatever. It just felt derivative.
It looked cool. Yeah, like it looked cool, but like when you think of like plot wise, like it just makes no sense at all. Like why would Deku be like, the only way we can beat him is if I give you One for All?
David's read the manga too.
While still having One for All.
Yeah, let me theorize for you, okay?
We can't drop a theory in this review. No.
I am under the impression that possibly Bakugo is going to be the second One for All user, and that's why he can't maintain it there, because he already technically had it. Okay,
He traveled through time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
He's gonna go back in time.
Right, David. Right, David. Thank you.
No, y'all are just.
I think that Kenny's
maybe like Bakugo's descendant.
Kenny's what all the Bakugo fans are all about, dude. Kenny is every Bakugo fan.
But no, Jerry. So like, from what you've seen in the story, I felt the same way. I thought Bakugo was overrated. Like, like he's like honestly like borderline piece of shit.
Horikoshi has not done much favors to Bakugo in the where we're at in the anime is what I'll say.
Right. But I think he does. I won't spoil anything, but there are characters that are not shit on, but that are pretty much neglected from where you're at in My Hero that do get an opportunity to be fleshed out more. Yeah. Similar to like the examples we talked about with One Piece, where if you get to a certain point, there's characters that we don't know anything about. They're just like introduced and tossed away to the side.
Right.
But Law is a perfect example. We don't get his entire backstory until
like
700 chapters into the story.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know, like the process behind, like if it is just fan service,
right?
Or not fan service, but like a fan outcry to give, give the love and attention that the certain characters deserve to have their backstories fleshed out. I hope in My Hero, I hope that there will be that kind of backstory for more characters in My Hero, because at this point, there's certain characters that I still don't know anything about that I would love to learn more about.
Yeah.
I hope ultimately all the students in 1A have a backstory kind of defined.
I think that Horikoshi is doing something smart, and that's the very first, I think, really smart thing he did is that All Might cannot fight anymore. Period. He's done. Right? He's retired, and he can't be a part of the battles anymore. And I think that as we go forward, or like Sir Night-Eye, he died. Like that's done. We cannot incorporate that character. And I think slowly, a lot of the pro heroes that we know right now are going to be forced into retirement or killed off through these sort of wars with the villain organization. And I think that it's really I think that slowly we'll get our characters to come in and replace them. And then we'll get obviously more backstory, more information.
It's really not a bad, I mean, Kenny, you're probably on Horikoshi has set this world up so that obviously, I mean, in the first chapter, it's Deku in the future narrating this experience. To me, everyone in Class 1A becomes a pro hero with their own agency, and that is how the series is destined to end. Like, when My Hero comes to a close, this is the story of how all of these pro heroes became the best heroes in the world. Like, to me, that is what My Hero Academia is. So but the issue that Horikoshi keeps running into is that he introduced 20 characters. He said, here's 20 characters, and it's hard, no matter how good of an author you are, to effectively illustrate 20 characters and let them all have room to breathe, right? So there are some arcs where some characters are just going to have to take a back seat. I mean, even Oda, who only has a main cast of 10, has struggled to... He's talked about how, like, the reason he breaks the crew up in One Piece so often is so that he can focus on one half at a time, because it's too hard to write a complex storyline around... So, Horikoshi, I hope, didn't set himself up for failure, and I hope that he gets the time to do what Oda has gotten to do, right? If Oda had never gotten 500 plus chapters, like, we would have never gotten Impel Down, where Buggy comes back. You know what I mean? Like, if that had happened, we would have all thought Buggy was just some guy in the first 10 chapters or whatever, annoying character. And now Buggy is like still an integral part of the universe, but he didn't get that redemption until 400 or 500 chapters later. And now we're about to, 1,000. So hopefully Horikoshi gets the time to flesh out his 20 characters so that the fans are satisfied. Because, and to get back on topic of what we're reviewing and not a My Hero discussion, because maybe we need a whole My Hero episode after this. Because we probably do before the new season comes out. But yeah, to get back on topic, this it just felt not, I hate to say it, like, just not authentic to like what was being accomplished. It just felt like whoever was writing this really wanted Bakugo to have a moment, or they felt like this movie would sell better if Bakugo was front and center. And I don't want to be that guy like that's like the integrity of this film was like trashed because they wanted it to sell more. And obviously they wanted it to sell more. They're a fucking company that is making this stuff to make people. Bakugo is a wildly popular character from the series, like insanely popular for what I can tell is no reason. So they're gonna obviously bank on his ass. And this story was written. It was a money grab. That's what this movie felt like to me. It was, how can we make the most epic fucking fight scene to make all the shonen fanboys shit their pants and put Bakugo in the lead and not have to. I mean, Deku's the lead, but Bakugo essentially being literally. Just explain to me this: the scene where 9 is rocking Deku's jaw, instead of a pro hero or someone else coming to save him, who showed up to save his ass?
Motherfucking Bakugo.
Katsuki Bakugo. And I was like,
obviously, bro. He was the only one that beat a villain right then, okay?
How did he do that? That's
what do you mean? The little girl summoned the big thing and said, please help Deku.
This storyline was
Bakugo was there, bro.
This storyline was juicing Bakugo the whole time, dude.
This movie was just straight fan service, which I don't know if movies are like allowed or supposed to be fan service because right. I mean, like you're saying, I mean, like the goal overall is to make a buck.
Yeah.
And so
this movie was, to be upfront, like you don't make an anime movie with the intention of like making some like, tell me where there's like a shonen anime film that isn't just 2 hours of fan service. Like they just don't exist. I mean, Demon Slayer, I guess. Demon Slayer.
The Dragon Ball movies are just straight fights the entire time.
One Piece Stampede is literally an hour and a half long One Piece fan service. It's literally, they said, since you guys haven't seen it, One Piece Stampede was literally every pirate in the One Piece world gets called to an island for a giant party for treasure. And now they're going to fight it out. And literally it was like every character was there. Like characters that absolutely shouldn't have been there. It was a blast. And that's what this was. Because at the end of the day, I can criticize the storyline. I can criticize any of it. This movie was fucking fun, right?
Yeah.
Kenny, I'm back to you because I know you love this movie.
This movie was awesome, and whatever they're saying bad about it is just wrong.
This movie,
I love Bakugo, and he's awesome. He melts a mountain.
He does. He melts a mountain.
Melts that mountain.
What?
He melts a whole fucking mountain. Okay.
Okay. So at the end of the day, this is a movie that if you are a fan of anime films and a fan of things like that, like if you're Your Name or you're looking for a high quality, well developed film that exists in its own thing, then you've made the wrong choice to watch Heroes Rising. But if you just like My Hero and you want to spend 2 more hours watching all of Class 1A jump around and fucking bust villains' heads, then this is exactly what you need to watch. This is the movie for you. Because that's all it was. I mean, it was Class 1A is on an island without any pro heroes. Like the whole setup is just literally an opportunity for us to hang out with Class 1A for 2 hours and watch them use their superpowers and play with the people. And the villain is shallow. He's like
he's basically All For One.
Yeah, he's
All For One ripoff.
Walmart brand All For One, essentially. Which was like, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't get. It's not that he was a bad villain. He was just poorly.
It's not original though. Like in the context of My Hero, like that villain already exists.
Yeah, so that was silly to me.
Literally Walmart My Hero All For One.
Yeah, so instead of unlimited powers, he can only get 9 powers. So they named him 9.
I do think the hair lady had a cooler power.
Slice was pretty dope.
The
Chimera's design was probably my favorite villain design.
I'll give Chimera.
Yeah,
David, I don't know how he wasn't dead. Explain to me. They froze his inside. Todoroki grabbed his mouth and froze his inside solid. I am concerned. I looked at it, I said, he's dead. I was like, there's no way. And then at the end they see him walking off and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, his internal organs were frozen solid. You don't just
that Chimera flame.
Oh,
I don't know.
Bro, I thought Todoroki just fucking murdered that man. I thought he was dead. I thought he was full on dead. Also, the girl with the hair, she was clearly a an homage to Medusa from Marvel Comics. I don't know if you guys know about Medusa, but maybe some of my listeners do. I immediately, the moment I saw her, I said, "Oh, that's Medusa." Medusa is one of the Inhumans, and she has like same color scheme, same thing, and her hair is like how she fights too. So I think that I think that,
Oh, really? Like
yeah,
in terms of the blades?
yeah, it sharpens up and she fights with it. Like seriously, I think that even if it wasn't intentional, I think it was probably intentional. I think that it was an homage or some sort of nod to the Marvel Comics character, if I were to guess. But the color design was just way too close for it to be coincidental, I think. But yeah, so I mean, I think that at the end of the day, like those two characters were cool. 9 was pretty goofy, and the other guy that Bakugo just kind of creamed and was in jail the whole movie.
Mummy.
Yeah,
Mummy.
that guy was meh. Yeah, I mean, I think that the stakes were, and that's what made this movie constantly kind of feel off. Is just like the stakes weren't there. Like I feel like in the first movie, as much as the first movie was also pretty goofy, is the word I would use, just so that you could get that magical like Deku and All Might double punch at the end. I think the first movie, at least, I felt like the stakes were a little higher. Like I felt like there was something at risk. Like All Might was weak. The villain could have really killed one of the kids in Class 1A. Something about this movie, I just felt like the moment 9 got trapped anyone, he was gonna, oh no, my powers don't work anymore. You know, like I just never felt like the stakes were that high. And then, but if you like anime, then honestly, the last 10 minutes of this film, or the fight scene,
pretty hype.
You're gonna probably nut. You're gonna probably nut, dude. Like no question about it. Like you're gonna be done for, because all of my qualms with the movie disappeared the moment that happened. I just was like,
you're like, oh, not that bad, actually.
It's the best movie I've ever seen. It's the best fucking movie I've ever seen. I saw him melt through a mountain. Huh?
Is it like silent during that whole like final animation, or are they playing like angel music?
There was music. Yeah, there was music.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I think it was sort of like, it was probably You Say Run, honestly. I don't
Probably.
know. But yeah, I don't know. What else is there to say about this film, guys? Do you think there's anything we didn't cover there?
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's super simple. It's like, if you like My Hero, I mean, like you said, if you're a fan of My Hero, this is a good movie to watch, just because it gives you even more time to spend with those characters. Like Kenny said, what I was going to say earlier, like the biggest pro of this movie is that it just gives the secondary characters of 1A more time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the Zap dude?
Kaminari.
Kaminari.
Mm-hmm.
Kaminari got a lot of time in this movie.
Yeah,
and I'm happy because his power is so cool. He's a cool character.
Yeah,
but I feel like
honestly
he doesn't get that much time to shine in the anime.
Did every Class 1A character get at least one moment in battle? I think they all did.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, not Toru, but she doesn't do anything anyway. So.
Yeah, that's true. She's just invisible.
Oh shit! Was she even? Oh my god!
Toru was there.
She's there the whole time.
I don't remember her having a fight moment. You're right.
There was a scene where Toru, Mineta, and a third hero,
the Sugar Rush,
were like on the street and they're fighting Mummy.
Oh,
the Sugar Rush guy. They fight Mummy, and then Bakugo comes in and kicks his ass solo.
Even like the guy who talks to animals like had a moment in this movie. I can't even
whenever all the birds fly by.
Yeah, that was cool too. But
his power was so cool too. I wish he had more time.
I guess Invisible Girl was really the one who kind of got left out, because I think just about every other, even Mineta had a moment. Yeah. She'll fade to the background.
She's invisible. I don't know. And
so, okay, credit to the film. In some ways, he did a great job with a cast of 20 characters. Whoever wrote this story, they did a good job with the cast of 20, giving them all moments that felt authentic and felt cool for the characters. So I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, are we gonna try to rate? I don't even know if I can It's like if I'm just rating how excited I was. This is like an easy 8 out of 10, right? But then if I have to actually take a step back and look at the movie, this is like a 5.5 to me. You know what I mean?
There's no wrong answer, Jerry. So
I'm gonna feel.
It's what you feel.
No, this is a Shonen Jump 10 out of 10. Go see this movie. I love Shonen Jump. I love Shonen mangas. My drill's the drill that's going to break the heavens.
Oh my god.
Whenever Bakugo shatters that mountain,
Kenny just
10 out of 10.
Guys, Kenny just gave this a 10 out of 10. Like this video, like this podcast, wherever you are. If you're hearing this, Kenny's 10 out of 10.
This is a Shonen Jump 10 out of 10. Okay?
We are done. That's honestly, I don't think we can.
I mean,
11 out of 10.
This is a Shonen fan service 10 out of 10. When Bakugo and Deku are like punching up, they're for some reason punching the storm in the sky.
Yeah,
they hyper beam the storm, Jerry, with their fists.
That last scene,
10 out of 10.
I honestly was like, this is
10.
crazy. I was like, why does this exist? Who made this? Someone spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars and weeks and weeks of time animating those like 5 minutes for sure. Like incredible detail went into every fucking frame of that. And anytime that someone gets the color punched out of them in anime, you know that shit's about to pop off. Like when the color gets punched out, dude, you're like, I don't even know why I'm watching this anymore. Turn it off. No.
One thing though that kind of pissed me off. The dude's name is Nine, right? I don't remember seeing 9 individual abilities.
He had extra room because he was going to steal Deku's power.
Yeah.
So he has capacity for 9, but he only had 6?
I think he had 7, maybe
7,
maybe 7.
But if we include the cell thing that he stole from the dad, that's 8.
Oh yeah.
So
that's like a useless ability.
Yeah,
because he has a different blood type, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, like some of his powers were a bit odd. Like what the fuck was like the back dragon? Like what a weird power that was. Like
he had back dragon. He had like destructo disc wind walls.
Yeah.
He had the finger beams.
Yeah, finger lasers. He had to like hunt
someone
down.
He had thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the eye thing too.
He looked someone dead in the eyes and he said,
thinking like,
this guy had finger laser beams, and he was like, that's the power I want. He had to grab that bitch and go, and like suck finger laser beams out of someone. But also,
he was like,
he took it from Frieza, bro.
Back dragon? I just don't know where did he find that? Like, was he like sitting around one day just thinking like, man, my back is always exposed. I really need power to protect, because that's all it was good for. It was only good for like when we got around to his back to be like, we finally got him. It was like back dragon. I was like, whoa.
Okay, listen. One of the heroes in this show shoots tape out of his elbows. I don't know what y'all are like. What are you expecting? Okay.
Another one eats cake and he gets strong because of it. I mean,
sugar rush, boys. Okay. Well, let's move. Shonen Jump, 11 out of 10.
It was enjoyable.
It was a good movie.
Shit plot, but enjoyable.
Yeah,
so
15 out of 10.
Was fun.
Yeah, 30 out of 10. This is the
30 out of 10.
Best movie since Vampire Night.
Best movie since Vampire Night. I'll put that on a shirt.
Best movie since Vampire Night.
I'm ordering it right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's our new merch. Best movie since Vampire Night.
Uncensored Anime Podcast. Best movie since Vampire Night. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Boys,
all right.
Let's just not even waste some time here. Let's talk about the actual series that we watched. So we're back into it, guys. We're watching it. We watched a show this week, a new series. Well, newish. The first couple parts of this anime actually came out quite a few weeks ago. We talked about it briefly on the podcast. But they finally put out the last sort of like arc of the series onto Netflix.
Although it really was like 2 arcs. Let's be totally honest.
Yeah. So they put out the last portion of the show like a week or two ago, not too long ago, pretty short time ago. And so we just wrapped up The Great Pretender over on Netflix, The Great Pretender. So all 3 of us wrapped it up. Today, I finished it literally right before we started filming today. And the boys watched it over the weekend or whatever. But we wanted to give you guys a bit of a review. So Kenny, can you tell us, in brief, you can spoil it, I guess, since we're in the spoiler territory now.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, spoilers. Watch this show. It's great.
Kenny, tell us what was The Great Pretender about?
So The Great Pretender is about a group of con artists who each of the cases are different cons they run to earn a lot of money, obviously, or for personal reasons somewhat. The first con, our main character is actually included in through a different con that one of the other main characters, Lawrence, sets up for him. So this is just, that's all it is. I would say it's almost like not a detective show, but that sort of style where I would say like a gambling show where we're given all this information, and then in the end, it turns out our characters were ahead of everything from the beginning. They pull the rug out from the bad guys, and they're like, actually, we've been tricking you the whole time. And I really like that in this show, they leave a lot of hints. There are a lot of hints to tell us that this is, they are playing tricks on these people, and here are the hints that are telling us what they're trying to do, like how they're trying to accomplish this goal, how they're trying to get to these ends.
Right. So yeah, in brief, it's the story of a bunch of con artists. The one thing about this though is that they are presented as sort of like con artists for justice, right? Like, generally their cons are not negatively impacting the world. They con bad people, is what I'm getting at. Like, all of their their attempts to steal money, yada yada. It's all to hurt bad people. Like they go after drug dealers, crime lords, an art dealer who is manipulating the art market. All these essentially villainous child trafficking.
They don't kill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't. Yep. They won't kill. They are like justice con artists, which is like sort of an interesting. It's an interesting like concept from the get for sure. So I think that the best way to start this off. Do you guys want to cover logistic stuff first or plot first? What do you guys think?
Let's do plot.
Start with the plot.
Okay.
Let's jump into plot. We did it backwards for My Hero, so let's talk about plot first.
Yeah, we'll switch it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that this is interesting. Okay, let me give my base here. So this when the show came out, I was already interested because we have Wit Studio is the guys behind this show, and it is an original anime, which means that the anime plot is not adapted from any sort of material. So if you're listening now, generally anime comes from somewhere else, right? Like it's either adapted from a light novel, a visual novel, a manga. There's usually some source material. This is an original anime. There is a manga being published, so it may have a different story. It may not. I'm not sure. But the manga was being published sort of simultaneously. So the anime was plotted out first, is what you have to remember about this show. So as an original anime property, they have usually a little bit more freedom with the way you plot a show out, right? Because if you're writing a manga, or if you're writing an anime that's an adaptation, you have to usually stick to the material that you're provided to a degree, figuring out how to adapt that into animation. This is a different story. They have free reins to design their characters, do what they're going to do, and build around the storyline. The other thing of note, and maybe you guys looked this up as well, I don't know, did you guys look up anything about it?
Not really.
A few things.
The author of this series, I was really curious about who wrote this series. So after the third case, I was like, who wrote this? Like, where did this series come from? The author of this series is a longtime J-drama writer. So he's been writing J-dramas for a long time prior to this. From what I could find, is his first anime. But prior to this, he's written a ton of storylines, plots for J-dramas. And there wasn't really, I don't know if there was credited as like one designer. I think there's a couple design. It was an original anime, so there were a lot of people working on the look and feel of the show. So Wit Studio really took the lead there. So if you think about the look and feel, it's got a really unique look and feel as well. So in thinking about, okay, so this is a J-drama author, he transitioning to anime, doing his first show. There's a little bit of some, I don't want to get, okay, let me rephrase. And you guys chime in if you think of anything while I'm talking about this. But I think that the biggest plot-based issue with this show, it's 23 episodes for the whole series, and to my knowledge, that is a conclusion. I've not seen any note that there's going to be more of this show. I think that.
Did you see the?
Huh?
Well, post credits though.
There was a post credits. Well, there was a post credit scene, but like, I don't think that implied like that there was more coming. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. That's a bit of an ass pull, man. And also the scene with Lauren with the president, and he said, "Are you bored?" or whatever. That was all.
Yeah, it's cliffhangery. There's
To me, it felt conclusive. It felt conclusive to me, but that was.
Why was Laurent working with the soon-to-be American president?
To me, it felt conclusive
with Joe Biden.
I guess no. I mean, it was.
Joe Biden was up there.
No, it was the chopsticks guy.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
It was the
chopsticks guy.
I was like, it was totally not Joe Biden. But to me, the scene where Laurent threw the ring into the ocean, and the Edamura returning home, this was conclusive. Like, I didn't feel like they left it so open-ended that I need more, if that makes any sense. But they left it open-ended enough that if they want, they can make more. Does that make sense? That's the way I felt it. I don't know if you guys felt that way. Maybe you didn't. But I felt like it was, like, if this is it, then I would be totally comfortable with that. Like, I don't think that they need to make more. But you're right. The last scene kind of left me looking like this. Like the after-credit scene, I was just literally like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, no way.
I was like, fuck? I was like, what are you gaming playing? Okay, so my biggest issue with this story boils down to an issue that I usually would use the word pacing to describe. And that we have a 23-episode anime series broken into 4 parts that each part hyper-focuses on one of the 4 members of this con team. Essentially, the first story is Edamura's story, the second story is Abby's story, the third story is Cynthia's story, and the fourth story is both a conclusion to Edamura's story, but also Laurent's story in some degrees. I mean, it really is Laurent's story in the back half, with Edamura still also getting his conclusion in some ways. Abigail and Cynthia mainly getting their conclusions during their parts of the story. Because of that structure, I thought that they had room to pace things up a little bit more. I don't know if each of those... I think that sometimes they and the best way I can describe it is it's kind of what you do when you're writing for television or you're writing for like a long, I think about a TV drama that we would watch here in America. Oftentimes like a story arc for a character will get dragged out over multiple hour-long episodes. And I felt like the plot could have been a little more like snappy. There was like a couple moments where I felt like there was just some drag of characters getting... it's not that there was that much useless dialogue. There really wasn't that much useless dialogue. But I think about moments where like, specifically where the show would lean in on the multiple dialects, right? So we would get multiple scenes where characters are either translating or showing that there is like a language barrier, so on and so forth, right? And even some like plot devices around that, like the character in the final arc uses sort of this line of like not being able to speak the right language is like how you can break a deal, right? Like there was that whole exchange that happened. The multilingualness of the show, while certainly makes the show appear more diverse, more worldly, all this other stuff, I don't know if it was benefiting the pace of the series sometimes. Like, I don't know if I needed to know that this was being translated from Japanese to Chinese and back and forth. Some scenes were playing out as if you were watching them like in a live newsroom. Hello, this is Edamura. Edamura, what did he just say? He said, hello, this is Edamura. We would get those full lines like spoken all the way out. And I think that they could have snapped it up a little bit there. And some of the other things is that I think there were some repetitive... I think a lot about Cynthia's story, specifically, where they didn't need as much... None of the additional flashbacks we got of Cynthia and the artist, to me, felt like it was fleshing out Cynthia more. I felt like at one point it just got repetitive. They even like replayed this like song in all 4 episods. Do you guys remember this?
They did that for they did that for each case. There's a song associated with each case.
No, I agree with you. But in Abigail and Edamura's and even Lawrence, the song only played maybe once or twice total. But for Cynthia's, for some damn reason, again, I'm not sure what the issue was here, she had a song-based like clip show in all 4 episodes.
Montage.
Yeah, she got montaged in all 4 episodes.
And it was the same song.
And I remember by the 3rd time, I was like, I love that each character sort of has like a theme song, is kind of what they were going for. I thought that was a cool idea, but I was like, so I'm not really questioning the theme song. I'm questioning why did we get a 2 to 3 minute clip show in 4 episodes straight? It wasn't doing anything to help Cynthia's character anymore. Her character got there already. I already understood. I didn't need a fourth clip show. So there were some pacing issues across the whole show where I don't know if I don't know who to blame on that. Like, this could have been an issue. I think this is probably a purely plot-based issue. I think the author is used to writing for television, and in trying to condense and write a 23-minute episode anime type thing, I think that he probably had some transition issues that sort of led to just some beefed up pacing. I think this series could have been 20 episodes, maybe even a little bit shorter than that, and probably accomplished the same goal. That was my biggest plot issue, because aside from that, I felt like the plots were really nice and tight. Aside from the pacing issues, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, but each of the mini subplots had a nice little twist. They each had some interesting characters. They each had a pretty well crafted little con involved, and I thought that each of them kind of played out in ways that was moderately interesting. I think that personally, the first case and the last case were stronger than the middle two cases. Like plot wise, I think they were a little more intricate, a little bit more well developed, and I think that they played the characters a little better comparatively to Abigail and Cynthia's middle plots, which I think in the larger context, we needed for those characters, but I didn't find them as like interesting is the word. I'm just going to use the word interesting. I think I personally didn't find them as interesting as the first story and the last story. So that's maybe that's, again, author's fault, or maybe it's just I wasn't as interested in the type of story he wanted to tell there, because they kind of each had their own sort of theme to it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Where are you at with this? Because that's most of my thoughts on the plot. I want to hear where you guys were plot-wise, though, because I think other than that, it was certainly a fun story to tell, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
David, do you want to go first? No?
Yeah, David.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Where are you at?
So what was I going to say? So I agree with the majority of what you were saying, Jerry. What your gripes with the pacing, I didn't really pick up on a lot, although I picked it up mostly in Cynthia's case.
Yeah.
Because
I think it was the worst there.
Yeah, and I also think overall there were times when I didn't realize that what I was watching was a flashback.
Oh, that's a good.
And this was a major issue with Cynthia's case. Is when I first realized it, that when she was talking to Thomas, I thought that was like currently happening. I thought like in the middle of this case, she found this artist and was falling in love.
Me too.
And was second guessing on if she wants to keep doing the con or not. But then I realized that was all a flashback, and that kind of like took me out of the show and was like, wait. Like where am I in this timeline?
That's a good note.
Because
I forgot about that.
Because usually, I think in the beginning, the show did a good job of at least like captioning like 2 weeks later or 2 months later to kind of give you an idea of where you're at in the story. But I don't know if I oversaw it or it just wasn't there for some reason.
Also, I think that what happened there too, and this happened to me, is in the first arc, Edamura's flashbacks, he's a child. In the second arc, Abby's flashback, she was a child. But then Cynthia, they flash back to her as already an adult. So
exactly the same.
Yeah, so I was like, I remember I looked at Alyssa because I said I didn't know it was Cynthia. I was like, who is this? I said, Alyssa, who is this artist girl at the coffee shop? Like, is this happening? She's like, no, Jerry, I think that's Cynthia in the past. And I was like, the fuck?
They gave you one big hint, was that she was working with Chris, the lady that we had met at the beginning of Abby's story, who they dropped the money off with. After they did the boxing thing, they said, hey, it's me, Cynthia from London. Happy birthday, Chris. She drops the money off to her after the boxing con. Even Lauren was visually distinct in his past art as well.
Yeah, Lauren had long hair. You could tell.
Yeah.
They linked at his hair. But I didn't actually, until you just said that, Kenny, I'm just now connecting that those were the same person. The other person.
Chris.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I might have not paid attention then, because when I saw the Chris person, I was like, oh, this person, like it was the first time I was noticing this person.
That's what I'm saying. Me too, David. It went right over my head that that was the same person until Kenny just said that.
That was your big hint, but also like, she's supposed to be 40 something, but she often acts like she's much younger.
Right.
she's a contemporary with Laurent and not so much with Abby and Edamura.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you finally see that. I am still curious because I don't. In another plot issue to me, I don't know if we ever get like the full. Despite this whole love story, Cynthia's art backstory love story, and then the brief scene where we actually see Laurent and Cynthia meet in the final story, how the fuck did she go from like cons are bad to boobies con artist? Like, did like
money
I'm like there's no like they never like fully bridge that moral gap for me, because I get it that like on one hand she slowly saw what it did to her artist husband person, her artist boyfriend, and then she sort of fell into like, I don't have anywhere to go, what to do, I need money. And then it all sort of came together that she was like, oh, maybe I can do this too. Click. And then she meets Laurent and then kind of gets swept up in it, which it seems like one thing that happens is like when people meet Laurent, like they get swept up in this world.
Yeah. I think it was also really cute that instead of Laurent got Abby and Cynthia for the intentional con, I think that it's at least supposed to be like vaguely Laurent and Ozaki are having communication, and these are the types of people he needs for his big job that he's planning against the Chinese organization. And it's really cute that Shion also, instead of it being Laurent who gets Edamura, it's Shion who gets him, just like she recruited Laurent to begin with. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'll take it.
I think something else that was kind of confusing to me was that, like at the end when we kind of see, there's just like a lot of skips in the timeline, so it can be pretty easy for you to get lost in like what's happening, because there's like over the course of like a 3-episode span, you're going along the timeline, and then they do a skip to the future, like brief future of like them of the both of the heads kind of losing all their money, and then they go down the elevator, and then they're like on this island, and then you're like, wait, what are we doing on this island? And then it's been the whole next episode like explaining what's happening.
Yeah.
Which was a cool effect.
Yeah. It was,
but still like the feeling of like, wait, what's
it's that like spy movie effect. Like I don't know how to describe it.
The Ocean's 11 style.
It's a trope that happens in these types of films, and it was utilized there. And yeah, but you're right. It kind of. I don't know if it worked for me always. Like, I don't know if every time they did those kinds of things, like, it was like, okay, I like this or I don't like this. I'm not sure. That was kind of where it kind of tripped me up. Yeah, I mean, the one, so yeah, plot-wise, and also another thing about the plot is I do feel like a little bit, and you guys might agree or disagree, I think that by the third part, also by Cynthia's part, the story was already getting a little, like, formulaic. I don't want to, like, almost like... You know what I mean? Like, they were kind of doing the same... thing, you know, like it was never the same thing, but it was like, you know, Edamura has moved to a new country to learn a new skill. Turns out this was all a setup by Laurent so that he can use the skill in their next con, you know, and then it was like, then Edamura gets swept up into whatever their new con is, and they start by finding their target, setting up the first con. The con doesn't work or something goes south. Surprise, it was supposed to go south. Everything was on track from the beginning. You know, they kind of did that, like, you know what I mean, though? It was that formula that sort of it's like when you're watching like CSI or like those sorts of American dramas that I think about. You know, there's a formula to the way the story, and so it already sort of started to fall into these. I think the last arc was a lot more fun because it kind of took it took that and it let you. It's like by Cynthia's, you felt comfortable, so you were like, okay, I know what I'm expecting. But then it didn't do that. It played some different directions in the last part.
I knew there was something up. I knew like after Edamura like got sliced, I was like, they
got him. Honestly,
he's not dead. They're all in cahoots. They're all in
cahoots, baby.
And I love that Laurent's line there where he was like, I understand that you're acting right now, but I'm happy that you're actually expressing your feelings to me. And I think that was a very truthful line coming from Laurent. Like he very much was into it.
Oh yeah, I think some of that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He was like, I think that the two cases, the Cynthia and Abby case, also really show that Laurent is attempting to help them grow. And I think that he knew from the beginning that Abby had PTSD associated with the planes. He knew that Mueller was the man who bombed Baghdad whenever killing Abby's parents. In the same way that he knew that Cynthia had previous feelings for this guy Thomas, who was a huge fan of this particular style of art, an artist, and he tracked down the painting to begin with. And I think that also you see that Laurent is really good at planting seeds in Edamura's head. And so he's in particular spaces whenever he needs to be. And I think that it shows it especially in that last arc where I love whenever he goes home and he's like, "You piece of shit. Like, I knew it. I knew that you were doing this to me." And he's like, "Wow, you caught on way."
And Laurent was like, "Yeah, uh-huh."
Exactly what I've been doing.
Yeah, because that was the scene where he he sees his dad, and then he goes back. He's like, "Laurent, you knew."
Yeah.
I was like,
he just runs up to him and just punches him.
Shit was crazy.
And I love the conversation with Abby and Edamura in the holding cell where she was like playing video games. Because okay, let me be straight up with you.
Here he goes. His ship.
I am an Avamura, Avamame.
Be shipping.
I listen. If there's ever more of this show, they better get together. Is what I'm saying. They obviously love each other. I think that Abby very much fell in love with Edamura after that second case, and I think that she was the most in tune with how his emotions were acting in the final case. I think that she was the most upset with the fact that they weren't telling him. Even though she knew that they had to because he would spill the beans. She was most upset with that. She was upset with the way that his father was acting towards him. And obviously at the end, she sends that out of anybody. She takes a picture on top of that cliff and sends it to who? Edamura, the person that she loves, obviously.
Yeah.
So
she liked very long hair, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I liked her long hair more.
Hey, Edamura likes the short.
Yeah, Edamura says it. He says, "I liked her. I knew I liked the short."
Yeah.
I love their connection. The way that their relationship grew, because I think that they ended up having the deepest relationship. Even the scene where she's in his window right at the end, where she's like, "I think you should forgive yourself."
No question about it. And that is where the show succeeds is characters. The plot really succeeded in developing and utilizing these characters in a fun and original and unique way, and I got to give them that despite it being a bit formulaic, the pacing having some little issues, the quieter character moments that happened between these characters felt thoughtful, it felt organic, it felt really just touching in some ways, and I think that it drew, to me as a viewer, it drew me in, and it's the only thing that was kind of keeping me. I think that in some ways I may have dropped a show like this just because by the time I got to the third act, I was pretty settled on not finished. I was like, man, I don't think I want to watch the rest of this. But the only reason I really wanted to see what happened was because I was connected to the characters, and I'm happy that, and that's why I say the last arc, the last 9 episodes, was probably my favorite of the whole show, because it was much more focused on the characters. The overarching plot, the child trafficking plot, was also really interesting, a little more interesting to me than the airplane dogfight and the incorrectly appraised art, which to me are just not, and like I said earlier, they're just not interesting. They just weren't as interesting to me as the fake drug and the child trafficking ring. Those were really cool and interesting, and I just felt especially the appraised art. I don't want to bomb on Cynthia's story too much, because there were some good moments, but that was easily the weakest. That was the weakest dip for me. It's where it's where I almost dropped it and was like, I don't want to watch the rest of this. But
I thought that Thomas was going to get his art shit on, and he was going to kill himself.
Holy shit, Kenny!
I thought that was the direction it was going to go. And I was like,
Kenny was writing a whole different show, David. No,
I was getting so upset because I was like, Thomas is going to kill himself. This dude is going to shit on his
Van Gogh.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, Cynthia, this dude's got to die then.
But we have to admit though, the final scene of Case 3 when Cynthia just keeps increasing the bid, and the guy is like, I only have 70 million, and she's like 71, and they just keep going up to 100 million. And while they're doing their bidding, it's like flashbacks to Thomas doing his paintings.
Yes, dude.
And like talking about how, like Cynthia's saying, like, your paintings are worth like so much money, they're gonna be worth so much money one day.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is a powerful scene.
Yeah, they did a good job.
It made up for all the shitty montages because I was not a fan of them.
Yeah, there were some quality moments in Cynthia's story. I really liked the moment where Cynthia realizes who James Coleman is. She comes in to buy the painting. The painting ends up being this multi-million-dollar painting. Like, there were some really cool little tidbits, but it just felt a little like, again, superfluous. There was just some extra stuff that just made that arc made me go like, oh shit. Oh baby, I'm not gonna get through this. But the last arc made up for me. To me, like I went into the last arc like with low expectations, and then I really loved the last 9 episodes. Like I blew right through. I mean, really awesome.
I love Edamura's speech too, where he says, "All you guys talk about is that if you make a mistake, you're gone."
Kenny,
and we are not partners.
He didn't mean that.
No, yes, he did.
Kenny, he was acting. It was all show. Oh, we knocked him out. I told him. He's too much of a damn liar. No, Kenny, I don't know if that was real. Kenny, that was a show. Kenny was acting.
I obviously meant it. That's why Lawrence said something. And I think
Lawrence was acting too.
They're trying to hide the blood bag.
Kenny,
Lawrence,
he had to.
No, okay, but I just love that. Obviously, that's not the case. It never had been the case. They are partners. They are compatriots. They're friends. They love each other. And
there's no way around that. Look at who brought them together.
And Edamura,
At the end of the day, Lawrence is the one who brought them together, and he is the one who fell in love with Dorothy. Like,
he broke the first rule.
Yes, that's the thing. Is like Lawrence obviously sees this as his family. This is bigger than him, and no matter the rules, what he tries to put out, he is the one that was building this. This was all him, and he cares more about these characters. Lawrence clearly cares about all of them deeply, and that is why he challenged them and did so much to help them. And each of these little cases, he set them up to develop them, to grow them, to make them have moments,
to help them conquer their past.
Absolutely. And that's, it's all like orchestrated by Lawrence, who is also a bit of just a addled, and he's just, his mother died when he was young, and didn't live in the best like financial situation. His mom was obviously taken advantage of because she was fucking dyslexic. There were all these little things that like led, and then he becomes this like ladies man, poker champion, yada yada yada. Lawrence's life was not good, and he was at the verge of like murdering someone, and then was swept up into this circumstance and realized that his life wasn't over yet. And I think that like falling in love with Dorothy and like all of this was like the key to like unlocking like Lawrence as more of the diplomat that he always wanted to be, as opposed to the like wretched, like essentially orphan child that he was. And that is what makes Lawrence's character, to me, I love Lawrence. That's, I realize
he's my favorite character.
Yeah, like I loved him. They did such a good. The show did everything good. I left the show just loving him as a character.
Although, here's my biggest gripe.
Gotta give the author that.
Biggest gripe, and it is with the post-credit scene. Dorothy's got to stay dead.
Yeah,
right.
Fuck, dude.
Dorothy, she's got to stay dead. It takes
the power out of him throwing the ring into the ocean and like
exactly.
The whole
finale.
And then she miraculously just finds it in a fish, like out of all the big ass ocean.
That was a big ass pull.
Has the ring.
Guys, that was a big ass pull.
She's got to stay dead. That's okay. It's okay that she remains dead because he's found this greater family in these people, and
her death that just sapped all of the energy out of the last. I was like,
exactly.
I was sitting there mouth agape, like looking at Alyssa, like, are you like, there was no reason for this. Like, this shouldn't have happened after the credits. Like, God damn it. Like, I don't know what. Maybe
they may want to come back with a bigger, longer story.
Yeah, but oh my God.
I think that we have more room for Edamura's dad, Ozaki. I think that he has more room to
so good to me.
grow and exist.
felt so good, and then the moment they showed that after credits, I just was like, man.
Yeah, at that point, I thought that they were going to be like, actually, Edinburgh's mom never died. Like, I was going to because
that would be
they showed the scene where he
keeping her
walked to the
dead.
hospital.
I wanted her to stay dead, and she did. That needed to happen.
Yeah. I thought Dorothy needed to stay dead. And listen, if I may be totally wrong. Maybe it comes back for another season and it uses Dorothy's character in a really interesting and exciting way. And we just don't know that.
Brand new characters,
exactly,
on artists.
We just don't know that right now.
Yeah.
And I think that if this was going to be a complete story and end where it ended, Dorothy needed to stay.
Yeah, get rid of the post-credit scene. Just don't watch it if you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Just turn it off after the credits start rolling. Just don't watch that.
Until they announce season 2, which it says season 2 on Netflix, but it really is all season 1.
Yeah, this was
season 1 part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They released it in 2 blocks for some reason, but that's just some weird that's some weird Netflix shit. It was really one full season, 23 episodes, one full season. Essentially one full series. But David?
So Kenny, you mentioned end credits.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the music.
They got my boy, Freddie Mercury, baby.
They got the boy Freddie Mercury.
Oh yeah.
Singing Great Pretender.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing song. I've heard that song before, and I don't remember how.
I
looked into it in the ending. I was like, oh my god, this is just such a great song.
Yes.
I mean, you probably heard it on the radio.
It does make up for
that's an old ass song.
Yeah, but if you listen to a classic rock radio, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes on.
It's not classic rock. Well, maybe the Freddie Mercury version, maybe.
I think that the Great Pretender ending did make up for the fact that I did not like the intro music. I don't know.
Oh, I skipped the intro every time.
I skipped that shit fast, David. I said, get out of here.
I like the intro.
I thought it was
like overall.
You go, David.
Oh, go on, Jerry.
No,
I was gonna say like okay. Oh, okay. I was gonna say like overall, like the music in the show, like it gave me Bebop vibes.
Yeah.
Like the musicality of like the very first act. I think the first and second case, the music overall in the show kind of played with the theme of each case. So the first 2 cases, it was like very jazzy. Especially like in the casino, there's always like sax playing or a lot of bass guitar.
David.
In the third case, since
no, finish up what you're saying, but I have something.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said David.
I did.
In the third case, what?
I'm nodding along because I agree with you.
Oh, okay. In the third case, it's like wintertime. It's like more serene. A lot of piano. They got fucking, I don't know, Kelly Clarkson or some motherfucker singing a song. And then in the last case, I don't really remember like the music of the last case.
The last case is almost an anime style song. It plays I think it plays on the first episode, and I think it plays on the last episode.
It's like more actiony, more like high stakes. Yeah. So I thought it was cool how they kind of like. You could tell like theming throughout the show was very important.
Mm-hmm. So,
and the music helped amplify the theming of each of the cases even more. And I think my favorite were definitely the jazziness. That's why I say it gave me Bebop vibes. Those first 2 cases were so fucking jazzy.
Yeah.
I loved it. And Freddie Mercury singing the outro. I mean, you can't beat that either.
Yeah, for real.
Take a bit of a okay. So why I was saying your name, David, just think a little bit deeper about what show we just watched, and think about Cowboy Bebop, and tell me that this show did not directly, in some ways, pay homage and draw inspiration from Bebop, as not just on a musical level, but on an entire a deeper level than that.
Abby's plane looked like spikes.
The character layout is very similar. The concept, this idea that through some sort of nefariousness, our heroes slowly have to unravel their pasts. That is literally like that is the theming of Cowboy Bebop. And
there's another show, Jerry.
Another layer, baby.
This kind of aligns with Black Lagoon.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So
if you've seen Black Lagoon,
I was like, this is like Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon has that thing.
Cowboy Bebop.
When you say Black Lagoon has that same theme in that, like, well, Black Lagoon is more about the two main characters as opposed to like a team of characters. But Black Lagoon has that same theme of like confronting your past by moving forward, right? Like there's sort of like Revy and why am I forgetting his name? The salary man. Jesus.
Rock.
They are doing that. They're confronting their past. Essentially, we unravel who they are through their experiences moving forward. This show and Bebop do the same thing. So I see why there's a connection there for sure. I'm like,
right,
oh, yeah, dude, hell yeah.
And what's I can't remember the Black Lagoon characters, but Benny and Black Dude also have. I think Black Dude has some. I can't remember his fucking name, but I think
David said Black Dude.
Black Dude. I know Benny has some kind of, at least in the manga, has some kind of backstory that's explored. I don't know if.
I only saw the anime, the OG anime. I didn't even watch like the follow-up animes they did. So.
The Roberto's Blood Trial.
Yeah,
I thought we watched that together.
I never got to watch Roberto's. I only watched the OG series with you. Damn. But yeah, I think that you're making a really great line there. I think that there's a lot of great comparisons.
This anime is also really similar to
Dutch is his name.
Dutch.
It's really similar to one anime I really like.
Don't say it.
It's about vampires at night.
Son of a bitch!
I saw on that last episode. I saw all that blood. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna look at that blood up. They're gonna suck it up.
Vampire Night? No.
Vampire Night.
So
I also love that. The villains were villains, but they weren't like evil, and they sort of like they teamed up with them at the end.
The last the
last
last two people
were.
might have been pretty evil.
That's why they left them on the island.
Okay,
let's be totally honest. Okay,
the others to me represented like carnal sins, right? Like you know, like the first guy was very much like greed. You know, they represent things like greed and lust and like these.
I mean, they're all greedy.
Yeah,
everybody's
you're right.
greedy.
I think the three of the main first villains were all driven by greed to a degree. But
wait, is this Dragon's Dogma?
Jesus Christ, no. But I think about how like Sam's addiction issues, he's sort of gluttonous in that aspect. Like and then like the first guy, sort of this addiction to the money and the Hollywood
pride,
fame,
power,
right? The pride,
and,
the way he acted about his films, right? There were these other attributes of them that made them bad. Were they necessarily like bad? You're right. Like the other three guys were not as like vile, but the final two people. They're child traffickers.
They were selling kids.
They were pretty maximum evil. Yeah.
Both of them were pretty intent on killing each other in that final confrontation.
Yeah.
So, they were definitely. That's why they left them on the island, though. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give it that. Yeah, and yeah. So, what I was getting at though is that another thing. What was that? What was that like rap song that kept playing? Like, life is all about my come up or something.
One.
Yeah,
that was the first Cases song.
It came back in the final one. The first line.
I remember that song. This song's a bomb.
Yeah, I was like,
I think it's Kasano's theme. I think that's the gang leader's theme.
Oh, is it supposed to be that? I guess that would make sense. I think you're right. I think it may have played over. I just want to figure out who's the artist that did that. I was trying to like.
Wait. "Wanna Be Free" by YVY.
YVY. Shout out to the man laying out the beats on that. That was pretty cool. I don't know why, but yeah, the music was really awesome, and I'm happy that it integrated like multiple languages. It integrated like the multilingual nature of the show, which was really cool. The aesthetic and animation were beautiful, for lack of a better word. It felt almost like a movie level animation in a lot of scenes. And now you have to remember the show wasn't particularly like complex. There was not really like any like high pace. A lot of it was very slow. There was a couple car chases and some slight action, but for the most part, it was a lot of standing, talking, moving around, normal stuff, but it looked really pretty. The aesthetic of the scenes were really nice, and the choreography of the direction is the word I want to use. The director handled the layouts of the scenes really well. When you looked at the way they would stand in the rooms, the backgrounds, the way the things would look, it was really pretty to look at. So those were certainly highlights to me. The animation, the music were really cool. Like I told the boys this before we started recording. This felt like Lupin the Third meets Shinichiro Watanabe. Like, to me, that is what this felt like. And if someone had come to me and told me The Great Pretender was a Shinichiro Watanabe series, I wouldn't have even second guessed them, because this felt very Watanabe. If you've seen any of his works, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, the fucking Kids on the Slope, Terror and Resonance, the one he just did with the two girls that are on the
Space Dandy?
No.
Carol and Tuesday?
Carol and Tuesday, Space Dandy though also. Those are all Watanabe. So if you've seen any of those, to me this it sort of gravitated towards that aesthetic. And I know you guys kind of were like, oh yeah, I see that. It definitely had that going. But it felt also very like Lupin the Third to me, right? This sort of caper-esque, sort of over the top, sort of like gotcha type of moment that like Lupin is known for to me.
I do think Lawrence was very much like Lupin too.
Yeah, super Lupin-y.
Yeah, he had some Lupin aspects to his style.
Mm-hmm. And I love that.
So.
I think that for me it was like, that felt very, that was parts of the show that I really liked, and that like it had that. So that's other thoughts, y'all, on logistical stuff of this show, like the way it felt, looked. I mean, I think I'm sorry, I kind of covered a lot of it, but
I love the title cards too. Those were really cool.
Oh yes, those title cards were really dope. I think probably the most beautiful animation that the show had was during Case 2 with the airplane race.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, I don't know if they was using CGI or what animation was like, what exactly was being used.
Right.
Yeah.
But like whatever city, I think they're in Singapore. Flying through Singapore, there was like black water towers like near the end of the race. I don't know what the fuck those were, like some kind of buildings.
It's like a garden, I think.
Yeah. Like that garden part was the most beautifully animated part of the whole show, I thought. And
I do think all of the cities were really well, researched, I guess. Singapore, Hong Kong, or was it Shanghai?
Yeah,
obviously
Shanghai.
The Tokyo ones, London, and LA obviously were well researched, I think, in crafting the backgrounds. And I really would say that they did a good job of making the backgrounds and the set design abstract and stationary. Instead of leaning into 3D animation crowds, which look like shit, and I hate those, they just would make a ton of characters stationary. Just only the characters that are happening are moving, and everybody else is sort of abstract colors and stationary. There was one scene where during the plane race, they had a 3D animated crowd, and I was like, ugh. I was going to talk so much good shit about how they never did 3D animation for, crowds, because it's so ugly and it looks bad.
Wit Studio is pretty well known for like traditional 2D animation, honestly. Like that, to me, that's where they shine the most. If you don't know anything about Wit Studio, talking about the animation, 3, in my opinion, of the best animated TV series of the last generation, of the last decade. Is that 10 years? Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Of the last decade, 3 of the best animated TV shows, in my opinion: Vinland Saga, The Ancient Magus Bride, and Attack on Titan. 3 of the most beautiful TV animes to ever be made, are all 3 Wit Studio productions. They are a pretty small studio. They don't have a ton of works under their belt, but those 3 alone are a testament to the quality of production you're going to get when Wit Studio does a show. And Great Pretender was it upheld that legacy. You know what I mean? Like, it was just as pretty, just as beautiful, just as wonderful as these other 3 shows that I really do consider some of the best. I mean, we talked about it during the Vinland Saga episode. If you haven't watched that, go back to the Vinland Saga episode. But Vinland Saga is gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous. So this show definitely held up in that regard. Okay, boys. Damn. We nailed it.
Great show. Let's rate it.
How we feeling, guys? Oh, okay. Shit. We have to rate it. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Who's counting us down, or what are we doing?
I'll do it. I'll count us down. You ready? All right.
Don't
3,
blame me.
2, 1.
Damn, you guys went way higher than me.
Hell yeah!
This is great.
9 boys.
Oh, damn it!
I didn't have an issue with the pacing really. Even y'all are mentioning it. I didn't have that issue. Just watching it, and I think that I would have given it a 10 out of 10 if Dorothy stayed dead.
Damn
like
it.
I just felt like that was a bit of an ass pull. Like, come on.
It was.
If I had only watched the first, like, let's say I just watched the first 3 parts and the last part didn't exist yet. Like, if I had watched it when they first put it up, I don't think I would have watched the last part, to be totally upfront. I think that this show was, like, at that point in time, the third case was too derivative. It felt like the show had kind of gone off the deep end. I'm not sure I would have watched the last part if I had watched that and then had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks to watch the last part. I'm not sure I would have been engaged enough. Luckily, it was all there and available to me, so I was able to go ahead and watch through. The last part made me bump it up. I probably would have given this a 6 out of 10 if I hadn't watched the last part. The last part I felt was added closure. It may have even been higher if the ending hadn't sucked ass as well. Like, to me, like, Dorothy at the end made me go a little lower because I also didn't like that.
But it was so good right up until that moment. That's just
the major. I mean, I just had so many issues. I can't, in good faith, give a show above something like a 6 or a 7 when I have so many issues with the pacing and the plotting of the show. I mean, I loved the first case and I loved the last case. I thought the second case was okay. The third case was really weak. So overall, I have to give it a little bit lower. And not because of the animation, not because of the music, not because of the characters. Those all were really well done. It all boils down to like plot and pace that like made me. Again, I would have dropped this show had we not been watching it for this, probably. Unless, you know what I mean? Like, I may have dropped it even despite that. Just because it just bogged me down so much. I just felt so uninterested going into the last arc. And that, you shouldn't feel that way. Like, when you just watch the meat, 10 episodes in the center of your show should not make you feel like you don't want to watch the last 9. Like that, I mean, like that's...
It's okay to be wrong, Jerry. It's okay.
Oh, shut up.
You don't have to defend yourself.
I'm just explaining to everyone why I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I will stand by that all day and night. I think that this is... And I think that this is obviously not... Oh, my God. Whatever.
No. I think...
David.
I think the music... I think my favorite thing about this whole thing was the music and the animation. More so the music, because I'm a sucker for good instrumentals, and hearing that bass slap, hearing that sax blow, it definitely just it puts you in the setting, it puts you in the scene, and I really enjoyed it. I love the characters. I think similar to Jerry's cons against the show. Specifically during Act 3 or Case 3, there were some pacing moments that I was lost, and I'm sure a lot of other people, as they're watching throughout that entire case, were lost too in terms of just timing, like what's happening, where am I in this timeline, and the unnecessary. Like, I don't know if they just ran out of things to show, so they were like, well, we could just dump in this montage and call it a day. Which was not a good decision, but
Kenny was over here he was like, I love this so much, dude. I just love this. No,
I know, but like, I really like just watching it. Like, I love the characters, the design, like everything. I loved everything about the show, but that montage was ass. And why is Dorothy alive?
Yeah.
But other than that, like, great anime. I would definitely recommend this.
Yeah. Again, I can't. I'm not. This was a good anime. No matter, I can't It was
Jerry, you're to defend yourself.
I'm not. I'm just trying to tell. I'm trying to tell the viewers.
Defended yourself.
I'm telling the viewers this was a good anime. It was a good anime. It just, to me, it's not in the echelons. This is not like, this is a show that 2 years from now, unless they make more, I probably won't think too much about. Like, this is not Vinland Saga to me. Like, this is not that level where it's like Vinland Saga was mighty impactful and didn't leave a moment unturned. This show had just some weakness in the middle and some derogativeness and a little melodrama. And honestly, you guys remember Banana Fish? How I didn't even fucking finish it.
I love
and you two loved Banana Fish, and I just couldn't.
I love Banana Fish.
Unfortunately, this falls like in that same zone where like it fits your guys' taste a little bit more, and for me, it's like it's one of those shows. It's that same style where it's like I get a little bored, I get a little dull.
Jerry,
Jerry,
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay, buddy. It's all right.
It's all right,
We'll get this
buddy.
together.
It's good.
all
You
right.
guys can. Everyone who's listening, go fucking watch Great Pretender. Okay.
But I will say, like, you brought up a good point, and if I watched just season 1 and I ended on case 3, this would be I would say this was like a 5 or 6, just because
good.
Like, I agree with that, because I think case 4 saved it heavily. Well, it didn't like save it heavily, but it definitely is a much better thing to end on than case 3. So if I did watch season 1, waited a few days until the second part of season 1 came out, and then watched that, I'd be like, oh, it might have changed my opinion, but like I binged it all, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have come back. Like, I'm happy. I'm happy that we decided to wait until it was all out to start it, which we just kind of like randomly decided that. I'm happy we did that, because if I would have watched the first 3 parts, guys, I 100% would have been like, I'm not watching the rest of the show. I would have been like, I am definitely done. But I'm happy I was able to just binge right through and watch the whole thing, because the last part to me was the best part. I mean, case 1 was actually really good, well crafted as well, in my opinion. But the last part, Lawrence's story, all of that, just very, very much the best part of the show.
The Wizard.
Honestly, I'm excited for more. I hope there's more.
I feel
like there has to be more now, because they fucking.
I will watch another season if they do it.
There's another Netflix show called Be the Beginning, and it ended on a cliffhanger. Well, it didn't end on a cliffhanger technically. Like, it finished a story, but then had a post-credit scene with a very intense cliffhanger, and it sort of pissed me off. I don't know if it'll ever come back either. I don't expect it to. But it had that same sort of like, if this cliffhanger didn't exist, we could have easily just ended, but it does. So,
okay, yeah. I just hope.
Jerry, you defended yourself, so
I know. You guys know my opinion. 7 out of 10. I'm sticking with it. That's what's going to be on my anime list. Damn it. Okay, boys. Kenny, do you have something to unravel today, or you want to unravel?
Deadman Wonderland.
Oh, Deadman. This
week we're going to be talking about a weird fucking show called Deadman Wonderland.
Are you talking about the manga or the anime, Kenny? Out of curiosity.
The manga, bro. What the fuck?
This needs to be called Kenny Unravels Manga now. You haven't talked about an anime version in a while.
Because mangas are the ones that go off the rails. Animes will just have 2 seasons and then never finish.
I was about to say, Deadman kind of goes off the rails in some ways, but you're right.
So let me tell you, okay? Deadman Wonderland starts the show. This guy goes to jail, and it's like a weird fucking bad jail, and they have to compete in weird circus acts or some shit to not die. But guess what? He's got blood powers, okay? He can use his blood and shoot it as bullets. And now he has to fight against some other guys that all had bird names for some fucking reason. And they've got blood powers too. And there's one blood guy whose name is Crow, and he shoots blood out of his arms and turns them into swords. And then there's a blood guy named Owl, and he turns his blood into bombs. But our main guy...
Weird as fuck.
I hope the first 2 episodes... I don't think there are any blood powers. Also, there's this girl in white who's also in the jail, and she doesn't necessarily have blood powers, but sometimes gets possessed, sort of. It makes no sense. Okay, it makes no goddamn sense. So, you know what? Fuck this jail. Fuck these people. All the blood people with the blood powers are gonna band together and break out of here. Okay. So then they literally do that. They just break out of the jail. They use their blood powers to break out. Our main guy shoots a blood bullet. He gets his blood and he shoots it like a bullet. But then he shoots bigger bullets throughout. And then it turns out that actually the whole jail was a big testing site for these blood powers. And all of them actually lived within this jail whenever they were kids, but then had their memory wiped. And now we're back in the jail. And that's why the white girl actually always lived in the jail, because she was the most powerful one with the best blood power. She used her blood to strengthen herself or some shit. I don't think it probably explains her powers, but it's too fucking goddamn convoluted to actually. Then it turns out there are these Shinsengumi executioner guys. I just always call them Shinsengumi because I don't know. That's from a fucking old show, I think. And actually, the executioner guys are not that bad. And everybody actually just needs to fight against the whole institution of jail itself, I think. But yeah, it just turns out they all were raised in this jail as genetic experiments, and then like had their memory wiped, and then got sent to the regular world, and then they ended up back in jail for doing some shit. Like the main character he goes to jail because people think he kills his whole class, but actually the person that kills his whole class is the girl that was in white wearing like this weird mask. And he says that she was there, but obviously she wasn't. Well, she was, but like the police are like, nope, because the jail was pulling the strings the whole time. The blood powers were genetic experiments, and then I think he kisses her. I don't fucking know. Deadman Wonderland flies off the rails. I'm telling you, the beginning of this manga, there are no blood powers.
Why are there blood powers then all of a sudden?
I don't know. And then then there's like this tournament arc where the blood powered people are in jail and they have to fight against each other in this sort of tournament, and they can earn privileges. But then all the blood powered people can like talk to each other. And Al, the guy who also has a blood power, is like, actually, all of us blood powered people, we're breaking the fuck out of here. And they're like, okay. And then instead of like, it just feels like there's a story. And then they're like, actually, this is what I want the story to be. And it's only sort of tangential to the first story, but then it takes another tangent. And then we enter a third or fourth tangent so we've gotten so far away from what our original, where it was like this cool jail where they're like competing in these like sort of like things to not die. Like you don't want to die in the jail. Like they have to like jump over spikes and shit. Like it's like this sort of like Wipeout style jail scenario that gets thrown out the window as soon as the blood powers come into play. Then we're just blood powered guys fighting each other in this blood tournament.
Hell yeah.
Ichigo fights Hollows, and then he's in the Soul Society fighting other Soul Reapers. I don't know, man.
Honestly,
I think gotta watch this. I think I'm interested.
Anime of Deadman Wonderland is like okay.
I think you only hit 2 tangents though.
There are 2 more tangents. The anime does a good job of just kind of feeling like enough. Like you just get enough of it that you're like, oh, that was pretty cool.
You're like, oh, wow. Blood powers are cool.
But they don't like it doesn't have the same ending as the manga, David. So like you just kind of get like 12 episodes in this world, and then it's like, okay. So there's not really like
12 episodes?
Yeah, you kind of have to shift and go read the manga if you want the real ending. But yeah, I mean, Kenny's pretty right. Honestly, like the opening scene of like the blood splattered classroom and the floating guy. I mean, it's just like it's kind of like edgy. Yeah. It's got like that Tokyo Ghoul edginess to it, in my opinion, where it's like.
And then he like gets blamed for it. He's like, I didn't do it, and they're like, yeah, you did. And like,
it's kind of edgy.
How the fuck did I blow my classroom up? What?
It's kind of like edgy for fuck's sake. Like it's just edgy to be edgy. Like, oh, we're violent and gory just to be violent and gory. You know what I mean? Like sometimes shows will do that. Yeah. And then so that's kind of where like, as it tries to like get its footing as a shonen, it unfortunately ends up in a tournament arc, which is like, you're like
very quickly.
What? You're like, wait a second.
Here.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
It's this dude trying to survive in this sort of shitty situation. We are almost in a tournament arc before you even get to have fun with the idea of him competing in these different games.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, he gets to compete in the the Wipeout course where there are spikes and if you fall you die. And now he's fighting a dude with blood swords, and you're like,
to me, it's fun to watch. Like, since only 12 episodes, I watched it in one sitting. So like, I just sat down one night, started it, and watched it all the way to the end. It's like it's super fast paced. So it's like, you're like, what the fuck?
I'm about to say it gets very far in the manga.
Yeah, it takes a pretty good chunk out of it. So, I don't know if you're a fan of that sort of stuff, sort of hyper gory. Shonen, go give it a shot.
Check it out. I'm a little edgy.
Yeah, get a little edgy.
I'm a little edgy.
You're a little edgy.
Fantastic. Thanks for unraveling that for us tonight, Kenny. That was a good one. I forgot about that.
That was a hell of
I'm just curious, how many more episodes can we do of Unraveled, Kenny? How long can this go? How many Unravels can we go?
Let me tell you right now, I read a lot of manga.
Kenny
Wait,
has
we gotta do
many,
Bobo next.
Bo.
Bro, I should read that one, honestly.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Uncensored Anime Podcast. I don't know if David said that this was episode 16, but it is episode 16.
I did.
I don't remember. I was like,
I won't pick up again, I
maybe
promise.
it's episode 12. No, but yes, we're so excited. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for being here with us, and thanks for coming back for another episode. Hope you enjoyed us kind of getting back to our roots here after a couple episodes of not reviewing stuff. Back on the reviews. We plan to keep doing we have a couple more shows in the pipeline for this year, so we'll probably have a couple more standard episodes like this, but I also have some fun guests that I might bring back on for us to have some more like anime themed discussions like we've been doing. So if you enjoy one or the other, tell us in the comments, reach out to us, let us know which you like better, like how, if this is your first time, and you just stumbled on us because you saw this pop up, because you searched Great Pretender, because you saw it on Netflix, and our episode came up on YouTube. Thank you for stopping by and listening to us and giving us a chance and letting us get in your ears for a little bit. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to check out some of our other episodes where we do the exact same thing. We review a bunch of different anime shows here, usually completely uncensored. We're not afraid to tell it how it is. Just like today, where I told my opinion up front that I think Great Pretender was just a 7, okay? Sometimes that's just the way it is. Sometimes I can't finish Banana Fish because it just wasn't good. And we had a whole episode about that. And obviously Tower of God fucking sucked ass, and all of us agreed. And everyone should agree. So go check out our other episodes. We are now, we have a ton of backlog that you can go check us out. Check us out on Spotify. We're all up on Spotify. You can check us out on Anchor, as well as a couple other listening platforms that you're able to check us out, or on YouTube, where that can help us a lot, especially if you give us that thumbs up, you give us a comment. Those are great ways. And, you can hit that subscribe button, turn those notification bells on. We post every Friday-ish, is what I like to say. Every Friday-ish.
At 100 subscribers, 100 subscribers, I'm going to build a Gundam on our channel, and I'm giving it away.
Live Gundam build at 100. Live Vampire Night watch party at 1,000. So remember that if we can hit 1,000 subscribers on the tube, we are going to do a live Vampire Night watch party. We're going to watch it all live and do a live review of Vampire Night. So if we can ever hit 1,000 subscribers, then you know what to look forward to. But yes.
Goal 100 subscribers. I'll build a Gundam and I'll give it away to anybody that's watching. Maybe we'll do a giveaway a different way. But I'll build that Gundam, and you'll get to keep it. So
more giveaways coming up. More giveaways coming up for sure. We have already given away the first volume of Chainsaw Man to one of our awesome listeners. So shout out to our George, I think. Jimmy. Fuck. Jimmy. Jimmy, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. Okay, no. But no, we plan to give out more, do more, and keep changing it up here. We want to change pace. We've already had some really cool episodes that have done better because we brought on and done some different concepts. So stick with us. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much. And from the Uncensored Anime Podcast, we are saying peace.
Peace.
Love and peace.